Hi, welcome to another edition of Eating Sharp with Lynn Sharp. You know, it's my last week of chemo treatment, and so this whole week I'm making desserts for my oncology department. If you notice in my last, or if you remember my last video, it was the pumpkin cake with the cream cheese frosting. I took that over to them and they just loved it to death. So today I'm going to make a pumpkin pie inside a cheesecake. And if you remember my video number 13, the lemon pie cheesecake, it's the same principle, so I'm going to do some shortcuts to make this video go a little faster. I have the link up here to my website. It might be up here or it could be over here, and there you can find that video 13. You'll need to go to the recipe link at the top of the page and then scroll down to the lemon pie cheesecake. So what I've already done is I took 2 packages of graham crackers, put them into a gallon bag, and I used my Lynn pin, which is also available for you to purchase. It has my logo on the front, and we can also monogram your name on the back of there. If you go to the gift page on my website, you'll be able to purchase these 2. Anyway, I rolled them out, crushed them all really, really good, added some butter, and I pressed it into my springform pan. Then what I did is I put this whole thing into the refrigerator so that the crust is now hardened with the butter in the graham crackers as well. Okay, and I put that onto a baking sheet pan. This way I can move it in and out of the oven a lot easier without having to worry about spills. You also want to turn your oven to 400 because you're going to cook it at 400 degrees for the first about 15 minutes. Then we're going to add the pumpkin pie part to it and then cook it the rest of the way at 350 for about an hour. Another thing that I have done already is I have 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese that I have softened up to room temperature and I started to blend together. So to this you want to add 6 eggs to it. Now a lot of people like to add their eggs one at a time. It really doesn't matter if you add your eggs one at a time. You just want to make sure that you blend them really well into the cream cheese. So we get all 6 eggs in here. I'm going to, oops, don't want that shell in there. And the last egg here. You can also at this time put in some vanilla. You just need a tablespoon or so of vanilla to put in there. I don't measure that, just one of those things. Go ahead and mix this together. Get all your eggs and your cream cheese blended really well. The reason you want to get the eggs blended well is because then your cheesecake will be nice and smooth and won't have any lumps. Now I'm not quite done with that. What I'd like to do is scrape down the sides a little bit like this, because you do need a little cheesecake residue against the side of your dish here, and you want that all blended together. Okay, next what you want to add is 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. I like this a lot better than adding milk and sugar, because I've had a lot of non-success, I should say, with the sugar sinking to the bottom of my product even though I've whipped it and whipped it and whipped it and blended it and blended it and blended it, I've still had it sink to the bottom and make the dessert not taste very well. That was Salsa. You'll get to meet her in other videos when I can get moving around here with the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and blend in the 1 can of sweet condensed milk. And again, you want to make sure that this is well blended. So you don't have any lumps from the cream cheese. I mean, if they're tiny lumps, it's okay, they'll cook out. But you don't want any big lumps. Go ahead and set this to the side. Now we'll go ahead and bring in the crust. See how it's nice and firm in there. Don't forget, video 13 with the lemon pie will demonstrate how to get that into your pan, how much butter to use, and you'll just have to adjust it because I used 2 packages of graham crackers. This is a pretty big springform pan for a cheesecake, but I wanted it to be big enough because I have a lot of people in the oncology department there at Kaiser where I'm getting my chemo treatments done. So I want them to make sure they have plenty of dessert to go around to everybody. So let's go ahead and pour this right into the pan. The oven is not quite up to temperature yet, so I'm going to have to take a break, clean up, and I'll show you what to do with the pumpkin filling that you're going to make so you can make your cheesecake with the pumpkin pie right in the center. It's going to be delicious, just like the lemon pie one was. This one I hope will be just as delicious. I just want to get all that goodness out of there. And I'm going to go ahead and spread this even in here because I want it to cook pretty even. Let's give it a taste. That is very delicious. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up. The temperature will come up on the oven. I'll get that into the oven and I'll get cleaned up and ready to show you the pumpkin pie filling that you're going to lay right on top of this cheesecake, and it's going to go right down inside to the middle of the cheesecake as it bakes. It'll fall down because it'll be heavier, and the cheesecake will come right up over and bake over it. So take a break, and we'll be right back, and I'll see you back here in just a minute. Okay? Okay, welcome back. The cheesecake has been in the 400-degree oven for about 6-7 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get this part ready so we can take it out, put it right on top, and throw it right back into the oven for an additional about an hour at 350. You still will have to poke it to make sure it comes out clean. So that time could vary depending on how your oven is. So what I've done is I beat 2 eggs, and what I'm going to add to the eggs is I'm going to add about a half a cup of sugar. Now I measured out about 3/4 of a cup of sugar, but I'm just going to put in about a half of that. So we want to blend that as well as we can. I can still hear a little grains going on down there. And I'm also going to want to add a little bit of vanilla to this. About like that. Just a teaspoon or so. Mix it well. You want to make sure that sugar is well blended in And I like to overbeat my eggs a little bit anyway. It just brings a little extra fluffiness to the outcome of the whole dish. Okay? So I'm also going to add, let me set this here. I'm also going to add probably about a half a cup of milk to it. Just about like that. And I'm going to go ahead and blend that together. And then I'm going to only add half of this big can of pumpkin pie mix. It already has the spice in it, so you don't have to worry. It's the easiest way to go when you're making desserts and you want to get done quickly. There's nothing wrong with measuring out the cinnamon and the cloves and the nutmegs. Nutmeg, I've done that too. But for time constraints, I want to just get this in, get it baked so I can get it chilled down for tomorrow. So I'm going to put half of this in. It might need a little bit more than half. I'm just going to kind of play it by ear because it is a big cheesecake, and I want to make sure that there's enough pumpkin down in the middle of that cheesecake. So let me blend this together and we'll see how it looks. You know, that looks like about the right consistency. It's like a thin pancake batter or maybe even a crepe batter. And I think that's perfect. I will taste it though because I want to make sure that it's sweet enough and I don't need to add more pumpkin to it to take out some of the sweetness. No, I think that's going to be perfect with just a half a cup of sugar instead of 3/4. Now, as you can see here, I used just over half of the pumpkin mix. So what are you going to do with the pumpkin mix? Well, I have to make pumpkin cookies, and I kept some left over from the pumpkin cake. So let's go ahead and save this. This will probably be just enough pumpkin for the pumpkin cookies that I'm going to make tomorrow, which I'll take on my last day of chemo treatment to the oncology department as my final thank you for treating me and putting up with all my shenanigans and jokes and laughter, you know, and that whole bit, you know, because you have to make light of the subject and the story and the situation. I did, and it helped me through my chemo treatments. I didn't dwell on the oh poor me business. It's so delicious. Now remember, RWF Company is the one who does all the lasering of the Lynn pins, and you can find them on Facebook under RWF Company on Facebook, so look them up. He also has a couple of videos out on YouTube, so you can look him up on YouTube as well. His contact information is there. He does a lot of other things. He engraves all my dishes, and he does a lot of things for me here on the show. So it's got about 1 minute and 13 seconds left. Let's take a look at it. It's looking like it's going to be perfect. The reason that I have it in the oven first is I want to get a nice baking layer on the bottom of cheesecake and enough baking on the side of the cheesecake so that when I add the thin pumpkin mix to go into the middle, it won't go to the edge and it won't sink all the way to the bottom. This is how you get it right in the middle, by doing part of the baking prior to putting this on. Now I seem a little tired because it's the way chemo does to me. The treatment anyway, it really wears me out during the day. And my day started today very early at about 7 o'clock this morning is when I got up. And here it is about 12 hours later. I did work a full shift. Well, not a full shift, but I did go into work today and help put out lunch and take care of some things that I needed to do at work. So I, for one, will be very happy when this is all over with and I can get back to a normal schedule. So there is the timer. So let's go ahead and pull out this cheesecake, and hopefully you can see it. I'm going to probably move the camera over. I don't want to burn myself. I'm going to probably pull the camera over so that you can see how not how gelatinous, but how it is here. Hopefully you can see that. Let me take a look behind the camera really quick. You can't quite see that, but what I've gotten is I've got it rounded right on the edge. It's kind of puffed up on the edge, and right there I can tell that it's perfect. So try to get this level here. There we go. And I've got enough space in between here to go ahead and put the pumpkin pie mix. Now I'm starting right in the center, and you don't want to pour it really fast because you have a little bit of skin there that's going to allow it to go down underneath. So I'm going right around the pie here, or the cheesecake, getting it all in, just like this, trying to do it evenly, trying to get it on here evenly is what I'm doing here. We get all of this on here, very slow, and I really am hoping this is one of those recipes that you're trying it with me for the very first time. But you know, I did it with the lemon pie, and that turned out just awesome. So I'm hoping this turns out just as awesome. So I've got it there, and I'm going to put it right back in the oven. Turn this down to 300. Careful opening your oven, and careful putting it in. You want to keep it nice and even. You don't want to spill that pumpkin pie mix over the side. Just slide this right down into your oven. Now I have it in the middle. It is in the middle of my oven. My temperature is now down to 350 degrees, and I'm going to bake this probably another hour until it comes out clean. So when that comes out, I'll let you see that, but hopefully the pumpkin pie has settled and all you'll see is a regular cheesecake. In that case, if it does happen the way I planned it to do, I will take the camera tomorrow and we'll get a cut in the oncology department. I'll get them to cut that and see a piece so that you can see right inside the cheesecake the pumpkin pie surrounded with cheesecake. So take a break. It'll be about an hour till this comes out, and we'll be right back here. See you in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back. I have tested it with a knife. The knife is coming out clean. Let's pull it out of the oven and see if I achieved what I wanted to achieve by having that pumpkin pie go down into the middle of that cheesecake. So let me turn off the oven. We'll pull this out of here and we'll take a look at it. Here we go. Voila! As you can see, it's puffed up really nice. The cheesecake upheld the pumpkin pie. So as we say in the business, I never tried this before. This was my first time trying it, and we have found that the pumpkin pie doesn't go down into the cheesecake. But that's okay, because as you can see, it's kind of cratery, like it's split here. As that cools, that's going to sink back down in, and those craters, or these splits, are going to all come back together, and people are going to think that it is all the same until they go ahead and cut into it, and they'll see the cheesecake on the bottom and the pumpkin pie on the top. So you want to let this cool outside of the oven for probably a good hour or so before you put it into the refrigerator, because you don't want it to sweat. You want it to cool down a little naturally. So until next time, this is Lynn Sharp with Eating Sharp and Eat Well. And remember, it's all about the food, and sometimes it doesn't turn out how you want, but we know it's going to be a good product when we taste this tomorrow at the oncology department at Kaiser. So until then, I bid you farewell. Bye-bye.